Alright, football fanatics. World Cup 2026 is on the horizon. And for us here in the USA, it's more than just another tournament. It's our tournament. Right here on home soil. We're talking about a chance for the USMNT to truly make a deep run. To shock the world. But let's be real. A huge part of that journey starts with the group stage draw. Today, I'm not just dreaming about an easy group. I'm going to meticulously break down exactly what the easiest possible group for the United States could look like. Diving deep into the FIFA rankings, the draw mechanics, and every single team that could potentially line up against our boys. This isn't just wishful thinking, folks. This is a strategic deep dive into the beautiful chaos of the World Cup draw. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll be an expert on how these groups come together. So buckle up, grab your favorite beverage, and let's get into the nitty-gritty of predicting the most favorable path for the Stars and Stripes. Because understanding the draw is half the battle in setting expectations and getting hyped for what's to come. We're going to explore the intricate rules, the seeding process, and then go pot by pot to handpick the absolute weakest links, creating a dream scenario that would give the USMNT their best shot at advancing deep into the knockout stages. This is going to be a long one, a detailed one, and hopefully, a very exciting one for all you dedicated USMNT supporters out there. First things first. Before we can even begin to dream about specific opponents, we need to understand the fundamental mechanics of the World Cup draw itself. Because it's not just random, there's a very specific, carefully constructed process. The draw is governed by two main principles. The FIFA World Rankings, which determine the seeding pots, and geographical separation rules, which ensure a diverse mix of continents in each group. These rules are crucial for maintaining fairness and global representation, preventing any single group from becoming an all-European or all-South American slugfest. The FIFA World Rankings are updated regularly, and the rankings immediately preceding the World Cup draw are what ultimately decide which pot each qualifying nation falls into, with the top-ranked teams getting the most favorable seeding. This is why consistent performance in friendlies, qualifiers, and other international competitions is so incredibly important for every national team, as every single point contributes to their overall standing. It's a year-round battle for positioning, all leading up to that one pivotal moment of the draw. Now, let's talk about the pots themselves, because this is where the real strategy comes into play. There are typically 4 pots, each containing 8 teams, and one team is drawn from each pot to form a group. Pot 1 consists of the host nations and the highest-ranked qualifying teams, while Pot 4 contains the lowest-ranked qualifiers and the intercontinental playoff winners. The quality of opposition generally decreases as you move from Pot 1 to Pot 4, making Pot 4 teams the most desirable opponents for any top seed. The geographical separation rule is equally vital and states that no group can contain more than one team from the same confederation, with the exception of UEFA, Europe's confederation, which can have a maximum of 2 teams in any given group. This means if you draw a team from, say, Africa in Pot 2, you cannot draw another African team from Pot 3 or Pot 4, forcing a broader geographical spread across the groups. This rule is designed to ensure a truly global tournament, showcasing diverse styles of play and football cultures in every single match. Now, here's the absolute biggest piece of good news for the USMNT. And it's a game changer for our easiest group prediction. As a co-host nation for the 2026 World Cup, alongside Mexico and Canada, The United States is automatically guaranteed a spot in Pot 1. This is a massive advantage. And it immediately eliminates the possibility of facing other global powerhouses like Brazil, Argentina, France, England, or Spain in the group stage. Being a Pot 1 team means we are the top seed in our group. And that alone sets us up for a much more manageable path. This Pot 1 seeding means we get to avoid the absolute cream of the crop. The teams that consistently reach the latter stages of the tournament and boast some of the world's best players. Instead, we'll be facing teams from Pot 2, Pot 3, and Pot 4, which, while still challenging, generally represent a step down in overall quality compared to the top seeds. It's like starting a race with a significant head start, giving our young squad a crucial psychological and competitive edge right from the beginning of the tournament. So, with the USA firmly planted in Pot 1, our quest for the easiest group begins by looking at Pot 2, which will contain the next 8 highest-ranked qualifying teams that aren't hosts. These are still very strong teams, often European or South American powerhouses who just missed out on Pot 1, or perhaps a consistently strong Asian or African side. The easiest opponent from Pot 2 is a relative term here, as there are no truly weak teams in this pot, but we're looking for the least formidable of the strong. For example, when considering European teams in Pot 2, we would ideally want to avoid the likes of Germany, Italy if they qualify, or the Netherlands, who are consistently formidable opponents with deep talent pools and rich World Cup histories. Instead, we might hope for a European team that is perhaps in a transitional phase, or one that has historically underperformed on the biggest stage despite their individual talent. Think of a team that relies heavily on 1 or 2 star players, but lacks overall team cohesion or tactical flexibility. If we're talking specific examples from Europe, a team like, say, Ukraine, while possessing spirit and some talented players, might be a slightly more manageable draw compared to a perennial contender, especially given the emotional toll and disruption they've faced. Or perhaps a Scandinavian team that qualified but isn't known for their attacking flair or defensive solidity against top-tier opposition, making them less of a direct threat to our energetic American style of play. We're searching for teams that, on paper, present fewer direct matchup nightmares. From South America, Pot 2 could include teams like Uruguay or Colombia, who are always tough but perhaps less consistently dominant than Brazil or Argentina. An easier draw here might be a team that scraped through CONMEBOL qualifying, one that struggles with consistency, or one that has a less experienced squad, making them more prone to errors under World Cup pressure. We're looking for a team that isn't quite clicking, a side that perhaps lacks a clear identity or a truly world-class spine. Let's imagine a scenario where a team like Peru or Ecuador, if they manage to qualify and land in Pot 2, would be a more favorable draw than a battle-hardened Uruguay, for instance, while still possessing South American grit and technical skill. These teams might have less depth, less World Cup experience, or a more predictable tactical setup that the USMNT coaching staff could effectively counter. It's about finding the team with the most exploitable weaknesses within a very strong pot. Moving on to Pot 3. This is where the field starts to open up a bit more, and we can genuinely start to identify teams that would represent a significantly easier challenge. For the USMNT, Pot 3 will likely feature teams from Asia, Africa, and lower-ranked European nations, along with possibly a CONCACAF team if they're not a co-host or high enough in the rankings. This pot offers a wider range of quality, And our goal is to pinpoint the teams that are consistently less threatening. When we look at the Asian Confederation, AFC, teams like South Korea or Japan are always well organized and technically proficient, often reaching the knockout stages. However, there are other Asian qualifiers who, while competitive within their confederation, historically struggle against teams from Europe or the Americas. We're looking for a team that might be making their first or second World Cup appearance, or one that has a reputation for being defensively solid but lacking significant attacking firepower. For example, a team like Saudi Arabia or Qatar, while showing flashes of brilliance, often finds the step up to World Cup competition a significant challenge, especially when facing teams with higher individual quality and tactical sophistication. Their qualifying campaigns, while successful, might not fully prepare them for the intensity and quality of a group stage match against a Pot 1 team like the USA. We want a team that plays a more reactive style, giving us control of possession. From Africa, CAF, we've seen incredible talent emerge, but also teams that struggle with consistency or tactical discipline on the global stage. We'd ideally want to avoid the continent's giants like Senegal, Morocco, or Nigeria, who often bring athleticism and flair that can trouble any opponent. Instead, we'd hope for a team that qualified perhaps through a less dominant performance, or one that is known for being defensively vulnerable or tactically naive. Consider a team like, say, Angola or Gabon, if they were to qualify and land in Pot 3. While they would bring their own brand of football, they might lack the tactical sophistication or the depth of talent that some of the more established African nations possess. Their World Cup experience might be limited, and their players might be less accustomed to the high-pressure environment, making them a more manageable opponent for the USMNT. We're looking for teams that are high-pressing. Athletic style can overwhelm. Finally, we arrive at Pot 4, the dream pot for any top seed looking for an easy ride. This pot is typically filled with the lowest-ranked qualifiers, the winners of the intercontinental playoffs, and potentially the lowest-ranked European qualifiers. This is where we expect to find the true minnows of the tournament, the teams that are often just happy to be there and represent the biggest opportunities for goal difference. From the intercontinental playoffs, we might see a team from the Oceania Football Confederation, OFC, which historically has the weakest teams in the FIFA rankings. If New Zealand were to win their playoff and qualify, they would almost certainly be in Pot 4 and represent one of the most favorable draws possible. Their squad, while disciplined, often lacks the individual quality and depth to truly compete with top-tier nations. Similarly, the lowest-ranked Asian or African qualifiers, or even a very low-ranked European team that just scraped through, would be ideal Pot 4 opponents. We're talking about teams that might have a few professional players but are largely made up of semi-pros or players from lower divisions, making the quality gap significant. These are the teams where you expect to win comfortably, ideally by a margin that boosts your goal difference. Imagine drawing a team like, say, Luxembourg or Gibraltar if they somehow managed a miraculous qualification and ended up in Pot 4. Though that's highly unlikely given their current standing. More realistically, a team like Mauritania or Kyrgyzstan, if they qualified, would present a less formidable challenge than, say, an experienced Costa Rica or Panama from CONCACAF who might also land in Pot 4. We want a team that is defensively porous and struggles to create chances. So, having analyzed each pot, let's now construct the absolute easiest possible group for the United States men's national team, keeping all the geographical separation rules in mind. Remember, the USA is in Pot 1. So we're looking for one team from Pot 2, one from Pot 3, and one from Pot 4, ensuring no more than one team per confederation except for UEFA. This is the moment of truth, the ultimate fantasy draw that would set the USMNT up for success. From Pot 2, we need a team that offers the least resistance among a strong field. Considering our analysis, a lower-ranked European team that is perhaps in a rebuilding phase or laxer